So, hello, welcome back to this episode of the Self-Development with Tactics. And I fucked it up because this is actually the intro. Not quite the intro screen, but the screen what I'm going to talk about in this episode. And this episode is about millionaires and an interview with a millionaire. Fuck yeah. Because there is the intro now in the middle, not quite in the middle, but in the beginning of the whole thing. Then I'm now here on the screen to somehow change everything a little bit up. Because I thought all the time the same shit is a little bit boring. So I'm gonna have to change something up. I decided that I'm just doing something that I like to do, which is actually letting it look differently and just kind of presenting it differently. The content itself is quite the same, but it is something new in terms of how it is looking like. As I said, hello and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast, and I'm pretty happy to be here, even though I just lost a lot of fucking time, and I will gonna just explain it afterwards. But we are going through a millionaire interview on the esimoney.com website, which is a website I've been on, quite lately. I've just enjoyed going through those interviews with a lot of people where you can just really get a lot of inspiration about, how people got millionaires, what they're doing, and so on, and so on, and so on. And I do think this is also a pretty interesting one, and I'm going to just, pick these things out that I find valuable, and I find this is something you should know, and this is something that's important, so that I'm just in my 30-minute margin, but you get as much as, possible without getting anything that might not just be valuable to you. Because in the last episodes where I've just been through, a certain part of these interviews, I just seen that most of the time, or sometimes, there wasn't that much value in it, and so therefore I just was willing to change it up and present you something that's quite can give you something in terms of knowledge, in terms of inspiration, motivation, and or whatsoever. But I hope this is working right now. Yeah, it is, but it is way too big. So now you can definitely see I'm just covering my light, and this is with the light. So I do still think that the fucking light there is just really something that's, putting up my quality, my recording quality, or my production quality relatively high. And it's something that I'm kind of even proud of, I'd say. Something very good, something I think a lot of people will enjoy, and I'll enjoy as well, even though it is so fucking disturbing because it is so fucking bright. And I do just see, at the times where I'm just, recording pretty much in the night or at the evening during the school, I'm not going to sleep no matter what, because there's so much blue light facing me. The screen, another screen, the light, it is just amazing. But never mind, I just like it anyways. The Millionaire Interview 18. And by the way, because I just before was talking about actually wasting a lot of time, I first of all wasted a lot of time because I was sitting in my fucking bed with my fucking phone, actually going through a little Instagram, seeing what's going on, seeing what my page is doing whatsoever. Sometimes it's a waste of time, sometimes it's just, me doing my business, but most of the time it is really, most of the time it's really about my business, but sometimes I get caught up and then just, I'm looking at it, I'm just doing nothing that's quite, valuable, or just something that's, somehow interesting to me and or my business. But today I was actually kind of, additionally to that, unfortunately, I was kind of talking to myself and kind of thinking about if I actually should do these videos in this certain type, from now on, because I was thinking okay, you could go through all these summaries and all these articles on your own, so there's quite no need for me actually doing them. But it would be something different if I'm just going through them before, just write down everything that I find somehow valuable and then present it to you. And then I thought the thing is, it is not quite the same if you go through it on your own, or if I'm going through it quite with you, because I'm going to just, I'm just going to just really give you my opinion about what I'm reading, and I've been going through a lot of stuff, and so therefore I do quite have some sort of a knowledge. I think some quite knowledge in terms of actually, okay, just not really getting rich, but wealth, because I've read a lot of articles and a lot of books about building wealth and maintaining wealth, also marketing, self-help, definitely self-development, and all these things. So practically, because I was just somehow trying to find any parallels with what I'm doing here. And I was quite, looking at Gary Vee, because he's definitely one of my greatest inspirations. And then I was quite like, was there something that he did which is basically the same that I'm doing? And he was actually, if you might know, he was actually the wine guy just before he got this business guy on YouTube. And he was just practically only testing wines and seeing if they're any good or not. And just he gave his opinion about these wines, and actually gathered a lot of knowledge and had a lot of knowledge beforehand. So he basically just tasted wine, gave his opinion of the wine, and so on. And then I said to myself, well, it is quite the same as I'm doing. It is. But yeah, somehow, you could just, taste the wine on yourself and then just, I don't know, kind of say, okay, it is a good wine or it is a bad one. And you could do the same with my thing. So I'm therefore just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And I think this is just, it is great. It is fitting what I want to do. And it is just giving me a lot. It's giving you a lot. And it might even give the owners of these websites a lot, because they actually get an audio version of the whole thing quite for free, which is amazing. Definitely. But yeah, I'm going through this one from right now. So the overview, how old are you and your spouse, and whatsoever. I'm going to make this a little bit quicker and get to the most important and most interesting things right ahead, so that you don't waste any time any longer and I don't waste any time any longer. So I'm 39 years old as my wife, and we were married in 2013. Do you have kids or family? We have 2 daughters, a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. What area of the country do you live in? Urban or rural? We live in the mid-Atlantic part of the US, about 45 minutes outside a major city. We are on the cusp of a rural suburban area. Whatever a fucking cusp is, I don't fucking know. What is your current net worth? Our net worth is 1.12 million as of September 2019. And what are the main assets that make your net worth? Stocks and whatsoever, all the things. The majority of our net worth is in the stock market, with a mix between retirement and non-retirement accounts. The rest is cash, our house and personal belongings. Here's a breakdown in percentage terms. The retirement accounts are 45%, and I do really have to get a little bit more knowledge on retirement accounts, and because I've seen them so often, especially in terms of these interviews with the millionaires, a lot of millionaires have retirement accounts, whether it's, I think, 401k, which should be a retirement account as well, and a lot of other things, I guess. And I just have to get a little bit more knowledge on that. And if you just need more knowledge on anything, please just Google it. Google it. It's so quick. You can Google a lot. You can I just really want to say nearly, Google everything, because you can't Google anything or quite everything, because you will not always get an answer that's quite good or somehow valuable to you. Taxable accounts, which is 20% of the whole thing, cash 7%, their home, which is 12%, which is definitely quite a lot, which is then separated into 137k equity and nearly 400k debt actually, and personal belongings 7% as well. So basically cash and the personal belongings are quite the same. Now what is his job? So I worked for myself running a couple of websites. I went full-time with this back in 2013 after running them part-time for 3 years. And the thing is, you just have to think about that. He has a couple of websites. I just thought about three. He has a couple of websites and he's a millionaire. And the websites are based on the internet, which means that you will definitely get a millionaire through the internet. It really depends on what you can, what your skills are, what you're talented in, if you're talented in this whole thing, and so on and so on and so on. But it is possible. And this is the thing that I just want to underline, because I do think, and this is also something that I've quite been debating with myself about, is that the internet is fucking powerful. Because I always thought, like, the internet is great and, whatsoever, it just gives you a lot of value and, and so on and so on. But I was never really sure about if you can actually make money in the internet or on the internet, whatever. But you can. And you can definitely see it by now. And it is something that's, for me, just really by now, quite hard to believe. Maybe it's just because I haven't made a dime yet. Anything, just nothing yet, whether it's in terms of actually working with clients, quote unquote clients, or just, through doing what I'm doing right now. I haven't, up to this point, made any single dime from it. So maybe if I start getting some money in through what I'm doing or through actually client work whatsoever, maybe I'll be just, a little bit more, or I will have a little bit more faith in the whole thing that I'm quite doing right now. So before I went full-time with my websites, I spent 10 years in the financial services industry in various roles. I started out in customer service and then moved into accounting and tax roles, and finally working at a high net worth financial planning firm. My wife worked in sales for close to 10 years as an account executive. A couple years ago, she became burnt out and she knew she couldn't keep up with the demands of the job and have a family. She ended up switching careers and works as a life coach on the side while working for a leadership development company as an account manager. So what is his annual income? Our income varies due to my self-employment nature, but it is roughly 150k annually. Of this amount, I earn around 50k, and my wife earns 100k. So he is making less than his wife, which is nothing bad. Please don't get me wrong. I think there are a lot of just people who will think like, and I don't know, maybe I would be just a little bit, fucked as well, or feel a little bit fucked as well if my wife actually would make just, the double amount of money than I'm doing. But at the end, you do just have to say, okay, it's quite our money, I'd say, and it's fine. And still, if both parties are just really happy with the life they're having, why should you complain? And this is always the thing, if you're happy and everything is okay, there's nothing to complain about. And still, I kind of feel like too less people are actually caring about their happiness and caring about their feelings and caring about how they are feeling about what they're doing, which is amazing for me, amazing in actually a negative way, because I don't understand it. I quite don't understand that so many people think like, yeah, I do want to go for money, I do want to have the money. It's quite always about money, definitely. And then, I really wish for all the people who are just only willing the money, I hope they get it. I really hope they get it and then see, okay, it's not making you happy. Because it doesn't. The thing is, what I'm always talking about is, if I get $1 million or euros, whatever it is, which is actually not that much, to be honest, it is really not. It is also a funny thing that so many people think like, I want to have $1 million and then everything is good. But the thing is, 1 million isn't that much. Definitely not. For sure it is something, totally. But you can't do as much with $1 million as I think you used to be able to, or you think you can, because I don't know, you could, build yourself a house and that's quite it, or 2 houses and that's then it, or buy yourself a car and a house and that's it. It always depends on, where you're living and, whatsoever, but it's really not that much. Houses are extremely, extremely expensive, as I know, at least. So tell us about your income performance over time. My first job was when I was 16. I got a job trimming weeds around headstones at my church. My pay was $5 an hour. Aside from the heat and the yellow checkhead nests, it was a great job since I could make my own hours. And it was done without constant oversight, which is probably why I never enjoyed being micromanaged in future jobs. The following summer I worked the same job, only this time I was making $5.15 an hour. The summer after graduating my school, I worked at a factory where my dad worked. I worked 6:30 to 2:30 p.m. earning actually $10 an hour, which is, I think, fairly something, isn't it? It's definitely not nothing, and it is something, I'd say. It is something. It was a tough job as I had to wear jeans and steel-tip boots in the heat of the factory. Looking back, it was my dad's way of telling me that this would be my life if I didn't go to college. I don't know, if you really have to go to college and you just, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. Didn't show you the thing. I don't know. I don't think like you're just in need of actually, going to college or doing something, because I think you somehow could definitely just, achieve what you're willing to achieve, no matter what you're doing. The reminder of my summers while in college, I worked in a textile factory. This was a great job, air conditioned, and the factory closed for the week of July the 4th, and I earned $12 an hour. While in college, I mainly did a work-study job at a library, but senior year I wanted to earn more money, so I worked at a car rental company washing cars. It was the perfect college job. I could make my own hours, and the manager was okay with me taking off during finals week, so I could study. I was only making eight an hour there, but had a blast. After all, I got to drive around various cars, including brand new Cadillacs as a 21-year-old. The only part of the job I regret is the 401k plan. I was eligible to contribute and consider it, but ended up deciding against it. Oh, I see. So I don't know. I just after this episode, I'm gonna write this down. Fuck, mixed it up. To really just look at it and see what this actually is. But I do not really, I could just Google it very fast right now. But I do not think that this is actually, giving me any value, nor you giving, you any value. So I don't know. I'll just let it be it. And I hope I will remember. It is, chances are not pretty good because I'm always forgetting anything. Or quite everything that's not quite very, very important to me. Which is like something like this. But something like, the posts and what I'm doing right now is definitely something that's so in my mind. I will never fucking forget them. After college, I couldn't find a job. The country entered a recession in 2001. So blah, 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 blah. Then he makes a little bit less. Maybe I should go. Yeah, I go through it. So after college, I couldn't find a job. The country entered a recession in 2001 and no one was hiring. Eventually, I got a part-time job at Circuit City as a customer service rep making $7 an hour. The management loved me and quickly increased my pay to $7.50 an hour. They wanted me to go into sales, specifically to sell televisions, but I didn't want to be a salesman. The main reason behind this was because I was great at selling the extended warranty on products. To be clear, I'm against them as I think they are a waste of money, but I would be honest with the customer about the warranty, benefits and their limitations. More often than not, they brought the warranty, which surprised me many times. Wow, it's fairly a long one. Fairly long one. Blah, 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 blah. So after a few months, I landed a temporary job at Vanguard paying $12 an hour. This was a 6-month assignment for tax season that started in November and ran through April. Because it was a temporary job, I decided to keep my part-time job at Circuit City since I was enjoying my time there, but the holiday season was rough. Many times I was closing the store at 11 p.m. and then was in the office balancing all of the cash registers. I would get home around 1 a.m. and have to be up by 5:30, so I could make it to Vanguard. I would leave Vanguard and drive right to Circuit City and work my next shift. Looking back, I don't know how I survived that month. I can still picture my room looking like a tornado went through it, as I didn't have the time to do laundry, organize, or run through the mail for a few days at a time. After the temporary period ended with Vanguard, they only hired 3 of the 100 plus temporary workers, and I was not one of them. Luckily, I quickly found another temporary job with another financial service company earning $13.25 an hour. This time, after the 4-month temporary period ended, I was offered a full-time job making $28,000 a year, which is either 2.3 or I still don't know, 2. I just really have to look this up as well. If in other countries or continents even, if you really just divide your whole earning a year through 14, or through 12. Because, at my country in Austria, it's actually like you're dividing it by 14 because you get a lot of different payments. If it's, for Christmas, I think you get one, and there should be another one because there should definitely be another one. But yeah, I don't know. I was still working at Circuit City at the time and went it to quit. Again, because management liked me, they allowed me to create my own schedule. I ended up working 2 nights a week for a few months before calling it quits completely. Over the next 6 years, I earned 3 promotions at the financial service company and increased my income to $45,000. But after 6 years, I had enough of the company and especially my department. I wanted a change and moved to a high net worth planning firm. Before getting hired, I negotiated my starting salary, earning an additional $2,000 a year compared to what they were offering me, making my salary $50,000 a year. I also was able to have them pay for my final 2 graduate classes in full. I worked there for close to 4 years before I was laid off. My ending salary was close to $60,000, but I was also earning bonuses and profit sharing payouts, bringing me total income closer to $70,000. The reason I was laid off was due to differing goals. The owner wanted me in more client-facing role, whereas I wanted to work behind the scenes, building the plans. Since it was a small office, the owner didn't think there would be enough work for me and let me go. This is when I started to run my websites full-time. I had been running them part-time for 3 years, and after expenses, taxes, and investing money into them, had a profit of close to $1,000 to $10,000 a year. All of this income was invested in a solo $401,000 plan. And once I went full-time with my website, I grew my income to over $50,000 a year. The only other job I had since I began my website full-time as a seasonal job with UPS. I didn't need the money, but though it would be fun to deliver it would be fun to deliver packages for these 4 weeks, I made $12 an hour. During my years in corporate America, I was earning higher than a typical 3% cost of living increases. This was due to a few factors, including never saying no, whereas a project came up or my manager asked me to do something, I always said yes. Even if I didn't know how to do it, I would find out how to do it either by researching online or asking a coworker for help. My manager always praised me for this. I helped my managers in addition to the above. I was always going into my manager's office and asking what work they had for me. They would give me the work they didn't like doing. It wasn't exciting work, but I showed them I was willing to help out in any way possible. I was reliable, and I was always at work 10 to 15 minutes early and stayed 10 to 15 minutes late to make sure everything was done. I also made sure I delivered any projects a few days before the deadline. I'm sure there were other factors as well, but these were the ones pointed out to me time and time again during employee reviews. I do think this is gonna be a little of a longer, I guess a longer video. I don't know. I hope there's more in it than this, because you can definitely. Well, I don't know. I'll see. So, what tips do you have for others who want to grow the career-related income? My best advice is to find a way to become valuable to your company. This is what it did when it took work from my manager that I mentioned above. Additionally, I made it a point to think outside the box. I tried to figure out ways for the company to save money. If you can find ways to help companies save money, you become an important asset. For example, in one role, I helped to develop a new process for closing client accounts that saved us many hours. Maybe I'll skip this. The work-life balance is also something that's not quite interesting. So do you have any sources of income besides your career? If so, can you list them? Give us a feel, blah, 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 blah. The only thing I do for income other than my career is resell things on Craigslist and eBay, but this is rare these days. I started doing this in college. The internet and eBay was exploding and there were all sorts of ways to make money. I started out by doing BMG Music Service, where I could get 12 CDs for 1 cent as long as I bought 2 at full price. Since this was before Napster and digital downloads, popular CDs sold fast. And by the way, eBay and such thing like this, they're still working at my point of view. And I don't know, I haven't tried it, but I guess they are, because Gary is always just talking about it. I'm sorry for always referring to him, but it's just the truth and I believe in it. And it seems to work. I don't know, if you just, get free things from Craigslist, or if you're in Europe, Spock, or in Austria at least, Spock. There you can also find some free things. I thought about actually doing this, but I don't know. Maybe it's just I need some kick in the ass to actually do it. But I do think sometimes you can actually make a great lot of money. And I do think, especially in areas where you can do some garage, what are they called? Garage sales? Are they called garage sales? I don't fucking know. You know what I mean. But yeah. Yard sales. Yeah. I would also go to yard sales and find items at discount prices and resell them on eBay. This was harder back then because you didn't know what you sell on eBay. You didn't have a cell phone you could check while on the go, but you could get really good deals on time. I thought I bought a set of crystal teacups and coasters for 0.25 cent or $0.25, and I was under the impression one set was 0.25, but found all 4 boxes cost me $0.25. I ended up selling each set for $30 on eBay. What is your annual spending? We spend roughly $90K a year. Well, okay, they have 150, so. What are the main expenses? A mortgage, household, water, electricity, nanny as well, food, and clothing. Do not spend too much money on clothing. You know what? Why? I don't know. I'm such a. I don't like to buy clothes, and I would also always tell people not to do it, because I cannot value it somehow. Maybe I will someday, but I don't think so, but I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah. There's also always one question about how to. What is your investment philosophy plan? We stick to a passive investing philosophy. Our money is mostly in low-cost ETFs, but some which is index funds actually, I guess, which is basically the things that Tony Robbins is always talking about. Fairly interesting. Look up index funds. They are somehow, I don't know, I've looked them up so many times, but I still forget what they actually are. But I guess they are, so for example, the S&P 500 is also an index fund, which is basically a stock, I would say, isn't it? That's out of 500 different companies, and they somehow are managed by a certain index, I guess, which there is the Dow Jones or whatever it is called. I don't know. I'm not good at this space. I used to be a more active investor, but I found I was losing money more often than I was making it. So I changed my plan and never looked back. I have started a dividend investing portfolio to earn dividend income, but this is my play money. I feel weird calling it my play money because I'm not actively buying and selling to earn big returns. What has been your best investment? My best investment was Intimidate Brands, now part of L Brands. Yeah. What has been your overall return? How do you monitor, review your portfolio? Net worth. How did you accumulate your net worth? It was a combination of making a lot of money and investing it. My wife was making $150 a year, plus generous bonuses as a salesperson for the first 5 years we were together. But just because we were making good money doesn't mean we automatically were becoming millionaires. We lived modestly and saved 50 to 60% of our income every single year, which is something, if you're just reading some things about millionaires, you can definitely see it all the fucking time. They are not spending all their money. And they're not spending them for shit. And if they're just buying really nice cars, they can, because they're making 150k a year or more and whatsoever. So what would you say is your greatest strength in ESI wealth building model, which is earn, save, or invest? And why would you say it tops? I would say investing, we do make a decent income and we do save a lot of money, but we were also smart investors. We have the discipline to pick index funds and add money to them every month. What the market thinks, we don't give into emotion and sell our holdings. We keep investing money. This had allowed us to grow our wealth faster over time. The biggest bumps he bumped into was actually having 10k debt when he went to college, or actually after college, I think after he graduated. And this is actually something that's quite common, I guess, in the States, I'd say. I don't know, I'm sorry, because I actually have to pay for the university or for the college. In my country, everything is free somehow. There is a good side and a downside of it, I would say, What are you currently doing to maintain or grow your net worth? We are keeping spending in check and saving as much money as possible, and we also make sure to not carry any debt other than our mortgage, and we are slowly paying extra on this to ensure we have it paid off by the time we reach 55 years old. So the target net worth of them both is 2 to 3 million range. We feel this amount will allow us to spend our time working as we please, regardless of the pay. It will also allow us to splurge a little on travel and still help out our daughters financially as they grow. The first million was in 2016. What money mistakes have you made along the way that others can learn from? I wish I had started investing in a passive approach earlier. With that said, losing the money I did helped me to realize that passive investing was the best option for me. Another mistake I made was around 10 years ago. I was driving a small sports car and was an avid mountain biker, and I couldn't fit my bike into my car. Instead of doing the sensible thing and buying a bike rack for my car, I bought a second car because I didn't want to risk scratching the paint. It was a used car that I got a good deal on, but looking back, it was the dumbest decision I made. So what advice do you have for ISE money readers on how to become wealthy? The biggest thing for us is to know what you value in life. You can spend years buying the biggest house, the nicest car, and the latest electronics, but all this could mean nothing to you and you don't realize it. Once I understood that, I valued it. I was easy to stop wasteful spending because I knew the item wouldn't bring me any long-term happiness. I freely spend money on things that I do value and enjoy every single day, and by cutting out this wasting spending, it allows us to save a lot of money without much effort. I think do you give to charity? Yeah, they do. But there's normally a question how they learn something from I'm going to read through this because this is just something important, I'd say. So how did you learn about finances and at what age did it click? Was it from family and whatsoever? I have a couple of memories of money when I was a kid that had a big impact on me. First, I remember going to the bank with my mom on Friday night and putting 50 cents into my savings account. The idea that I was making interest on my money blew my mind. Another memory was 1 year after Christmas, I had received $100 in cash from a relative and wanted to buy a Nintendo which costed $99.99. I talked to my parents and they agreed that I could spend my money on this video game system. The next day we went to Toys R Us and I remembered the cashier telling me the total was $105.99. This included the 6% sales tax. My jaw dropped to the floor. I thought, a whole $6? What was this? It was my first introduction to taxes. Luckily, my mom gave me the $6 as I didn't have it. Finally, I remember I wanted a tent to camp out in our backyard with my best friend. The tent cost $50. I didn't have the money, only $10. My mom made an agreement with me that I would use my $10 and put the tent on layaway. Then I would do chores and we would come back each week to put the money towards my tent. If I worked and put $40 and towards the tent, my parents would pay the remaining $10. As an older person, my interest in personal finance and investing caught fire senior year of high school in an economics class. Everything I learned was fascinating and kept me wanting more. And with that being said, I hope you had a nice time going through this. It was somehow strange. I quite didn't enjoy it that much today because through the circumstances that I'm having, I do have to be a little bit more silent, something I don't like because, all the people are nearly just sleeping and whatsoever. But yeah, I hope you got something out of it. I do think so. And even though it was quite only reading. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and success. And don't forget to remember how you're going to be remembered and giving back to the people and your legacy. I'll see you.